After 8 harrowing weeks of competition, it all comes down to this in the NACE Star League Fall 2023 playoffs. My name is Fellow, joined here by a special and returning guest of Adam Jasman. It's been quite a while since we've been on the broadcast together, but we're here to view some of the best teams that Collegiate Rainbow Six has to offer, starting out strong with James Madison University versus St. Clair. I know I've got experience working on these two teams, Adam, but before we dive deeper into our broadcast, how you feeling this fine afternoon?
I'm ready. I feel like both of these teams are forces. Every time I hear about like collegiate teams, one of these two teams comes up in some facet. St. Clair, one of the best out of Canada, and then JMU. I mean, they're JMU. So I'm intrigued to see how these teams clash, especially because one of these teams is going to go to face Akron at the end of the day. So like this is a crazy upper bracket, and I'm super excited to see how it goes.
And although we've also talked a little, higher about St. Clair as well, looking at their seeding in the playoff bracket, they're actually kind of an underdog. They were in one of the lower sections, currently at the 12th seed, but they fought all the way to the round of 8, now facing up against one of the best teams we've seen so far in seeding. And whoever wins this best 3 matchup will then move onward to actually fight the top seed of Akron to have that chance of competing in the grand finals come December. So we'll take a look at our schedule raining out through the rest of the day. Of course, we're not just covering Rainbow Six in this afternoon. We also have some later matches moving on. St. Clair and Cumberland will be facing off as well in a best of 3, I believe it'd be. And we also have some COD to look after later as well, where we have McCormick and Cash commentating later. Going back to James Madison and St. Clair, we have JMU basically like the reigning champs of the NACE Star League. I've seen them in Philadelphia be a brand new team starting their dynasty there almost a year ago at this point, Adam, and they made it all the way back to Indiana as well, where they put on a beautiful performance there as well. So getting to see them make it this far into the playoff bracket for, a third time, I think it is now, if not a fourth time, it's not much of a shocker. But again, St. Clair, they've been able to make it to that round of 8, round of 12 position, but this is usually where their storyline comes to an end. Do you think we'll see something different today?
You never know. I mean, JMU are in a very strong position. You mentioned that they're, obviously just how good they are. They're 6-0 in regular season. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just kind of like a JMU game, but St. Clair could definitely surprise some people. I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. You can see James Madison having Jarvis, PK, Blue Key, Shadows, and Hayden. These guys have been running the gauntlet for so long at this point, and they've gone kind of under the radar even. Like they're probably either the best or the second best team in collegiate. And for them to go up against a team like St. Clair, who are they have something to prove. They are the ones that have something to lose. That's what's going to be really interesting, because St. Clair could bring out all the stops. This is where their season could come to an end realistically. So they've got nothing that they need to lose. They have got to fight James Madison with everything that they have. While JMU, this may just be another day in the park.
For the map bands that we'll be taking a look at when we hop into the actual game, it'll be Oregon, Skyscraper, and Bank, which Bank is kind of the Titan map for JMU. I have seen them pull off some miracle runs. I've seen them close out gigantic victories when going to Bank. I can remember Jonah making that final call back in Philly when we went to that map. Oregon, I think, was the final map that they played going into Indiana as well. So in terms of experience on those two maps, they have a lot of it, especially in the most tense and fearful moments that they're going to have in their collegiate career as a whole. And Skyscraper, you can't say the same thing for them, unfortunately. I believe that was the map pick of St. Clair going into this selection. No, actually, it was JMU. So I'm a little surprised not getting to see them at all during this fall season bring out Skyscraper, but also in the same breath, St. Clair willing to go to Oregon when they're a team that is a little more familiar on a map like Clubhouse, for example, where I've seen them play a dozen times. And that was the map they ended up banning. This is honestly a very weird map ban phase, I'd have to say, Adam.
I'm wondering if this is something like JMU, or we're gonna permaban Skyscraper until playoffs, then we're gonna bring out Skyscraper. It could be that.
Perhaps.
You never know. Obviously, with that is their map pick, which means they're gonna have to probably play offense for the first 6 rounds.
Right.
Like Skyscraper offense is not exactly the easiest thing in the world. So they're going to have to buckle up and hope that they're, able to get their attacks rolling, because once you get that snowball on defense on Skyscraper, it could just be pretty much the end of the half. And a 6-0-5-1 half is not unrealistic. Like that is very much a possibility that JMU have to be careful of. If they could crack through St. Clair on that defense, they're probably in good shape. As for St. Clair, they have the attack on Oregon, so kind of the same script, except Oregon at least is a little bit more balanced. And you kind of mentioned that their proficiencies on Clubhouse is definitely what kind of makes them a good team. I'm interested to see if they can carry on that same mindset to Oregon, because those two maps, Clubhouse and Oregon, they actually play quite similarly in their play styles. They're both very
Mhm.
even. You can win on either side, so it kind of just comes down to which team is simply playing better. And in which case, if you're a betting man, you might want to put your bet on JMU, but who knows?
Say also getting to see how the Oregon defense is going to look like. That could also paint a bigger picture as to how Skyscraper could pan out. Like you mentioned, Skyscraper, it's very one-sided. I think Sky is like the most likely map to get 7-0'd on, even in the highest tier of competition. I mean, I saw Dark Zero just get flatlined by one of the Brazilian teams just a week ago in
Yeah.
Atlanta. I was literally there getting ready to book a reservation for dinner, and it just so happened to be that I didn't have to wait that long to eat because it was an hour-long series in the span of 2 maps. Dark Zero did not do well, unfortunately, which kind of sucked because all of NA did
That was
nothing
it.
burgers. They had
Yeah.
just nothing burger day one of the major, but gets the best of us. Brazil is just that good. Luckily, we don't have to worry about Brazilian teams inside of the NA Star League, so it looks like NA is always going to be on top, even if we have St. Clair winning. But like you mentioned, defensive favoritism, it's very common, especially on maps like Oregon and Skyscraper. And with the operators that are available to you, there really is no wrong answer when it comes to picking defenders in the meta currently. You've got Mira, there's Fenrir, Azami. The list would go on. The top 6 defenders, if you ran them all at the same time, you'd probably be chilling on a map like Oregon. So the operator bans are going to have a drastic impact on not only Skyscraper, which is kind of a Hail Mary pick, I suppose, for JMU perhaps, but also on Oregon, the map we're starting in.
Offense bans, though, could be pretty much the exact same as we've been seeing them. Ying and Dokkaebi,
Yep.
two of the most banned operators probably in this game right now. Even Thatcher has been let up. That's how we know hell is frozen over. But there's going to be an OSA ban instead. JMU just deciding not to play with the shield, which is really curious because I don't see OSA a lot on Oregon. I feel like top floor makes perfect sense. I don't think OSA is necessarily bad on this map, but you have plenty of other map control operators that you've just let slip through the ban phase.
She isn't bad, like you mentioned, especially on that top floor of kids and dorms. But again, a bit questionable. Flores being taken off the board, that one's not a shocker. Talked about a zombie, talked about power positions on Oregon. Flores is one of the best operators to deal with that said threat. So no longer having those Terror drones, you'll have to rely more on explosive utility like grenades, maybe Ash or Zofia charges, for example, as well. Whatever you prefer, that'll be your main, brunt force attack. And the soon thing to follow after that for the defensive ban is a Warden, but no Ying being removed. So in terms of explosivity when it comes to executes, that could be a pretty straightforward approach, given that those Candelas can create a lot of space to work those picks and have a chance of planting that diffuser in most of these bomb sites.
These are fancy bans for sure from St. Clair, but I'm curious if they're actually going to act on it. Like you mentioned, no Warden allows for a ton of aggression with that Ying, and whenever you're St. Clair against a team that's on a technicality on the Swiss stage, kind of like on your playoffs format, this team is stronger than you. So you're gonna have to pull out everything. You're gonna have to make the pacing yourself. There is no waiting for the rest of the squad to buckle up and go. You're gonna have to run through JMU if you want to win this game, but there is no Ying being brought by St. Clair just yet. And you have JMU going to the middle floor. So they're instead of going into the basement or into the top floor, they're going to go for the meeting and dining hold instead. This site is not very popular because it is not very powerful. But I'm curious to see what the motivation is here for JMU. They also have not brought a castle, but will continue to extend regardless. And that's kind of what you're going to see out of this bomb site in general. Usually that top floor is going to be oh so important, but St. Clair have plenty of options to deal with that top floor. They have so many operators that they can bring, considering that the Ying hasn't been banned, nor the Dokkaebi. So the roam clear could be easier for themselves, depending on what operators they bring.
It does begin to make a little more sense as to why JMU were very open to banning OSA, because this is also a very dominant site for OSA specifically. If you either go for a big tower approach, having that talent shield for the post plant and getting into stage to get that diffuser down is very viable. And if you want to go for a split attack, you can quite literally do the exact same thing, but you just start your attack on garage instead, with Osa being banned, that is no longer an option for St. Clair or James Madison on their attacking halves respectively. But of course, it's still common to start your attack from one of those two locations with or without that operator we just mentioned. 30 seconds off the timer, and you've got St. Clair already clearing out this big tower positions from top to bottom. And with the help of those EMPs, they can get that topple opened up without really having to worry about that Cade Claw necessarily, which then can begin their push, moving past that top floor extension, getting the vertical down, and allowing them to create more space for that execute.
Noticeably no control inside a big tower for James Madison. They have left everything completely reinforced, and what a Cade trick. Blue Key already takes out one piece of Heartbreak's utility. That is the thermite charge removed from the equation. And while it's not much, while you still have Rapid on the Heartbreach charges, that's time. That is tons of time wasted. Shadows can stay inside a pit for as long as he wants, as long as that wall stays reinforced, and there's not a damn thing St. Clair can do about it. Instead, they're going to take the fight to the basement. They'll get the stage wall open at the very least, spending 2 EMPs and a thermite charge on it. But like you mentioned, the Osa ban, the Osa is so strong on this bomb site, so for her not to be in play is going to be very difficult here for St. Clair, and it's only going to get worse as Rapid is picked up by Shadows.
Opening kill successful for JMU. Not only the K trick denying that top floor presence, but also getting that opening kill is going to make this a much easier defensive hold. But there's a response by St. Clair. Eventually, Corey shuts down Blue Key, eliminating the Cade, but they've already done their job. And now that this flank is potentially a threat for St. Clair, they not only have to worry about the vertical and on-site presence, but now this third equation, which could just be too much to handle with only 50 seconds left to go.
No C4s here for JMU to deny plant, so they're going to have to play their map control here, and that comes from the hatch. That all stems from Shadows, who has plenty of angles to work through, but he does let one slip through. That is Terror,
no.
But as Terror goes for that goo mine, Shadows will collect his second kill. Ulti also not aware of any of those positions. Corey on for his second, keeping St. Clair in this game, but as Jarvis flanks up Big Tower and gets a triple kill, he's now left to his own devices with Charm. 29 seconds remaining in the execute, impending.
A lot of time left here for St. Clair at this deficit. Most likely not a chance of getting that plant down given their still vertical coverage. Looks like they'll have to commit to this green hallway push, but it's swiftly denied by PKs. He's good for 1, but eventually there's a refrag by Charm, leaving us at a 1 versus 2, but the Thermite very low in HP and even lower on info. Has to check all these angles completely blind, and that will eventually put him in the dirt. Jarvis on the scoreboard with his first kill in the matchup. And JMU, same storyline, find very easy success on Meeting Room.
Got some big nuts on JMU to go on that second floor and try and make that bomb site work, but they did, and they are going to reap the rewards. Now they can move over to a primary bomb site like Kids in Dorms, where they can play comfortably in a very nice and well set up bomb site. This is already a great start for JMU. Now, as for St. Clair, they definitely had a little bit of troubles, and it seems like those troubles really caught up to them. You saw that they were stuck outside of that big tower wall for pretty much the entire round. It didn't really seem like much other map control was even attempted by the St. Clair attack. They were just all cuddled around that wall, and when the thermite charge got tricked, that was pretty much a minute guaranteed off the clock. St. Clair just didn't adapt. They didn't even push Shadows out of that pit position, not even from behind. They just kind of let him stay up there, and he ended up winning the round for JMU, as well as that roamer down below on the Azami. I believe that was that Jarvis? That was Jarvis down below. Just really allowing James Madison to pretty much play wherever they want to. That is not what you want to do, especially on a team like James Madison, who will absolutely take advantage of the control that they have.
Also, another major note that you mentioned briefly was Jarvis playing down below. You never saw him as the primary initiator. He waited for enough chaos to be had above by the Legion of, I believe it was Shadows on that top floor. Then he began to get aggressive once the rest of his teammates had done their job, not really overstaying his welcome down below and rotating to back to site as well. So great timing so far by JMU as well. Once they've already, kind of backpacked the immediate entry, and also denying a lot of map control from St. Clair in that first minute marker. We'll now see Kids in Dorms in play by the defense as St. Clair have a couple of bodies stacked up by that master balcony, hoping to maybe get this primary wall opened up by Closet, and given the fact they have a Maverick, they can also go in through Attic to have that nice 1-2 pincer, but this cutoff angle by Terror just snipes down Shadows. Yaruni already gone, and that's a devastating gun to be taken off the board as well by JMU. That DMR can really pack a punch.
And you got a ton of pressure now to work with towards that armory side. You can now kind of push out of that tower, or out of that trophy position, and another kill secured here. A second one as well. St. Clair are up 5 versus 2, and they have control of trophy. The player sitting behind that shield is no more, and it's only Blue Key on that closet. He is the last man remaining that can kind of defend this master area. PK is all the way over inside of Kids Dorm, so these two are going to need to play their 1v1s, and Blue Key will nearly be spotted out. EMP'd out of his position, and as PK goes down, we're looking at a flawless round here. Blue Key will go for the pump, but he will not stick it as Charm just tanks it. And that is a flawless round here. An absolutely incredible response from St. Clair.
Yeah, phenomenal showing there by St. Clair. A quick response after not getting the ball rolling the way they wanted it to back in round number 1. Again, having that cutoff angle, so if anyone was playing aggressive by Armory, they would get shut down. Once that control was confirmed by St. Clair, they wasted no time getting rid of the trophy position, which was denying the rest of St. Clair from getting in the closet. So it was a very simple step-by-step process, and off the back of winning those gunfights, they were then able to execute with everything going according to plan. They had attic pressure to kill the kids player, so no one could be denied from walking into the breach once the mute was taken care of, albeit he was the last person alive. So again, you're showing that very methodical approach that St. Clair need on their Oregon attacks to make sure things don't get too one-sided. But speaking of one-sided, Adam, this is probably the best bomb site for the defense to win, no matter how you slice it, no matter what operators you bring, no matter how your play style is based around. And it seems in terms of play style, we're going to have a very bunker-focused composition ran by JMU.
Yeah, no zombie being brought. They brought it sorry, the first round rather, and they were more than willing to run that. But basement's one of those sites where it's synonymously good for the Azami, and with no Flores as well, could be extremely useful. But still only have one shield being brought by James Madison and a lack of grenades. St. Clair, I don't think, have brought a single grenade except for one on the first round. So doesn't really matter all that much. You are gonna there still might not actually be a legitimate way to clear out that shield except for the Ash. And Terra's all the way on the other side of the map as well. So I am curious. I think the bunker hold actually is going to be pretty steadfast, you know, depending on how St. Clair decide to push this. But them going for a west over will not be concerned with bunker just yet. As a minute has gone by, they will drone out the top floor and realize that all 5 JMU players are sitting in the basement. This is going to allow for some easy map control for St. Clair, but it's what they do afterwards that's going to get me very curious, considering you have Rapid on the Blitz, who's not positioned inside a bunker as he usually is, but is rather going down the main stairs.
I was going to drop the hatch for a moment, but that would have been a very big gamble that might have backfired, given there's a mute playing right beneath that position with a shotgun, just waiting for someone to try to push him. Close quarters combat. This is going to be a very reliant push off the Capital bolts, and I would assume ROU projectors as well, looking to maybe close that gap between these defenders. And speaking of which, the gap is actually increased as the mute will begin to fall back, spotting the shield, not able to capitalize on them, meleeing open that barricade, giving a bit of ground here for St. Clair. And again, we'll begin to see those RU projectors most certainly begin to come out, and Rapid and Salty Boy have now rotated from Laundry, now heading into Freezer, hoping to have this double attack work successfully. But again, James Madison, they've got the distance to work this one out and the mirror windows.
Flame's not going to hit the mute playing inside of Chala. They have no idea how to get Jarvis out of here. Ooh. And off that swing from PK, it's not looking very good. 2 kills on the board for him, and Hayden flanking from Freezer stairs. St. Clair got so caught up on their control, on their map push, on their site push, they forgot to watch the flank, and it's going to bite them extremely hard. 2 shields being brought is not optimal, and that is why you have no guns to fight for yourselves. And as Jarvis secures the final kill onto that Monty, onto Charm, nice shot. That is the round going in the favor of James Madison, who will get their own complete flawless round in response.
And whilst the mute was able to sit